It is good to welcome Shaylyn, Ontario's up-and-coming rising country music star, on the podcast. I would like to compliment her on her wonderful Nashville sweater and welcome her to the show. Shaylyn, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I'm doing well. And of course, I have to wear my Nashville sweater because I have to be representing here in Canada.
Yes. So before we begin, I think both of us have agreed that Calgary is Canada's version of Nashville, and you performed there on a New Year's Eve show. So was it New Year's Eve 2020?
Yeah, it was right before COVID. I was
Oh,
in
wow.
Ponoka and I performed there for New Year's Eve and made the front page of the Ponoka paper. So that was pretty cool. I haven't been back since yet just because I've been so busy performing up here in Ontario, but I definitely want to go back and I definitely want to go to the Calgary Stampede.
Hmm. Yeah. So how cold was it in Calgary compared to Ontario?
Oh gosh. To be honest, I don't even remember. I just remember it was freezing, definitely in the my high minus somethings. Um, and I remember I was all bundled up and my feet were freezing in my cowboy boots and oh, it was very cold, but it was worth it for sure.
Hmm. Yeah. So tell me about your plans for 2025, musically or otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. 2025 is already very busy, especially in the summertime. We have tons of festivals, private parties, jamborees that we're going to be performing at. And I'm also heading back into the recording studio in a couple weeks to get some new songs out for the summer as well. So, very busy already. Things keep every day. I'm getting an email or a phone call for a new show. So that's exciting. And yeah, we're just going to have a busy year of touring and traveling and singing and having fun, kicking a country.
Mhm. Yeah. So how did you come up with that motto, kicking a country?
Honestly, it was kind of like a sporadic thing. I love Johnny Cash, and I love how every single show Johnny Cash would come out and be like, "Hello, I'm Johnny Cash," and then start the show. I love that. It's kind of like his little saying. And I wanted something to leave with all of my fans at the end of every show. And I just thought, the boots, we're having fun doing the country thing. I'm a bit of a tomboy, so I like it a bit, more rough and tough. It's okay to get a bit dirty. So I was like, why don't we do some kicking it country? So it's a bit more, pardon my French, but badass kind of thing. And it has stuck. Every single fan says it at the end of my shows. So now I've started going, and folks, let's keep and then they say kicking it country. So it's so cool. I love it. It's on all of my merchandise that I have as well. So but it all stemmed from Johnny Cash.
Hmm. Yeah, we can talk about Johnny Cash for the entirety of this program because I'm a great admirer of his. Um,
Oh,
so how does he inspire you?
I love Johnny Cash because he's real. And his songs are about real life things. And they're not always great things. I mean, Folsom Prison, going to prison, having heartaches, the real stuff, the dark days. And I think that is what's so much sometimes what we forget about is that, life isn't always rainbows and butterflies. Sometimes it's tough. And I admire Johnny Cash for being real and being true to himself and just telling a story. And I think that's what I'd like to do with my music is tell stories that people can relate to, both good and bad.
Mhm. Yeah. I think what I like about Johnny Cash is that he's mythical. Um,
Is.
yeah. I certainly think of artists, country or otherwise, who are more realistic than his. But his songs tell stories, and they tell stories from a certain perspective, and it may not be personal, but it's certainly unique. Towards the end of his life, he covered a variety of songs, not even country songs, even rock songs, and the most popular one is "Hurt" by Nine Inch Nails. And when you hear the two versions, the Reznor Nine Inch Nails version and the Cash version, they're just completely different songs. I think generally people have gravitated towards Cash's version more. Um, I think because of the depth of it.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean the music video alone, it is very intense and the feeling and the emotion that he puts into it is raw. And I think I agree with you. It's absolutely it's way different. I personally enjoy Cash's version, not because I'm a huge Johnny Cash fan and not Nine Inch Nails fan. I love how raw it is and how real it is.
Hmm. Yes. And I think Cash sort of speaks for people who are faithful, Christian faithful, so to speak. He embodies the highs and lows of following in the way of the Lord. He's obviously a very troubled man in real life, but he does his best.
Absolutely, he does, and he shows that too, for sure.
Have you visited Nashville before, since you're wearing the sweater?
Yes, I've been to Nashville quite a few times. I've performed in Nashville. I've played at Tootsie's and Kid Rock's, Honky Tonk Central, Second Fiddle, quite a few of the popular bars down there. And I was actually just down there in October of 2024 at the Josie Music Awards at the Grand Ole Opry. I was nominated for Song of the Year. So I didn't win, but it was a great experience. I did quite a few radio interviews. I performed while I was down there and I met tons of new people. So yes, Nashville is my home away from home.
Yeah, I've interviewed countless country musicians from Canada who can agree with that statement. Yeah, they would make the some 8 or 10 hour drive from where they are to Nashville, and yeah, they would spend that much time. I'm sure you would too, on the car, just so that
Oh,
you can reach.
absolutely.
I
In a
suppose yeah, I suppose it is the Mecca, so to speak, of country music and country musicians.
It's awesome. Have you ever been to Nashville?
I'd like to.
You
I
should.
haven't been to America even, so
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, then you definitely have some traveling to do, I would say.
oh yeah, yeah. As soon as I have the opportunity and the budget, uh, yeah,
Yeah, for
I'll go
sure.
on the first plane.
Awesome.
So what was the song that you were nominated for?
It's called Everything's All Right. And that song is basically about um, finding yourself during a breakup with someone. So I wrote the song in regards to, when you're in a relationship with someone and you think everything's going good, and then there's a breakup involved. Sometimes that can really take a toll on you mentally, physically. You don't want to get dressed, you don't want to go out, all those things. And so I wrote that about, splitting up and being a mess, and then over time getting my stuff together and getting my head back on straight, and then realizing that everything is still all right, even without that person. So, yeah, it's a fun song. I like it. I think it's very relatable. Anyone who's been in a breakup can probably definitely relate to that. And then you always come out stronger on the other end. So,
Yeah, I can certainly understand that. And I listened to the song and I like it quite a bit.
thank you.
Yeah, and I can certainly see that Nashville likes it too.
Yes, they did for sure.
So why should Nashville care about or pay attention to Shaylin and her music?
I like to be different. And I think that Nashville right now is full of all new country music. And new country music is great. Everything's All Right is newer sounding. So is my song, The Drink. Those are both very newer sounding songs. But I also love classic country music. I love the Patsy Cline, the Loretta Lynn, the Dolly Partons. And I think country music right now is steering a little bit away from that, and I want to make sure I bring it back. And so every time I'm down in Nashville, I go to Robert's Western World, and they specialize in just classic country music. And I mean, a lot of times now on shows you don't even see steel guitar, and for me steel guitar is country music. I mean, that speaks country. So I think Nashville, I'd like Nashville to pay attention, just because I like to do a mixture of new and classic country together with, having, yes, the newer sounding and the fun upbeat kicking it country stuff, but also with the steel guitar and the fiddle and the mandolin and the dobro, and still having that classic country feel.
Mhm. Yeah. As someone who hasn't listened to too much country music, how can you tell the difference between old and new styles?
Yeah, newer country is more electric guitar. Sometimes they have all those overdubs on it, and it's more like kind of rapish country music, like hip hop kind of, or pop. Where the classic country music, like if you listen to a Merle Haggard song or a Waylon Jennings song, or they're more intense with their music. Like the you can really hear every instrument. You can hear the acoustic guitar, you can hear the bass, you can hear the steel guitar. And for me, I just feel like classic country music was more of storytelling about real life stuff. Where now sometimes country songs are about trucks and beer and you know, girls and boys and all that stuff. But classic country music has a real story to it if you just listen to the lyrics.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I heard about that. The stereotype of country music from like non-country music fans about like the subjects that you've
Yeah,
listed. But I did know that even country music fans find today's country music that stereotypical as well.
we do, yes, and that's why I'm trying to bring back. You know, that's obviously what's selling on radio right now. Everyone wants to tune that up and go driving fast in their truck down a country road and listen to that kind of stuff, like Morgan Wallen or Luke Bryan or you know, even Luke Combs. I love Luke Combs though because he has some classic country in him as well. But that's why I want to bring back a both best of both worlds together.
I certainly gravitate towards the pre rock and roll country music.
Yep,
It mainly because it's more difficult to process. Um, yeah, when you hear the I guess the Waylon Jennings and the Merle Haggard and again the Cash songs, they touch on topics that not many people would rather talk about openly,
for
and
sure.
they did it in a way that feels well honest and authentic. And I think that kind of that kind of raw honesty uh, can be a bit of a turnoff for many. So perhaps that's the direction that country music is going right now is well, to either to gain a new audience or to maintain the audience that they are still having. And that kind of honesty may, well, let people to turn up the radio.
No, I absolutely agree with you. I think right now country music is directed at a specific audience, um, and you know it's really cool for me. I do a classic country show
Mhm.
every year at Hamilton Place the Studio, and I honor the legends in country music, like the ones we have been mentioning. And you know, I have it all open, so it's people of all ages can go. And there's a sweet young girl, and when she first met me, I think she was 4. She's now 12, and all these years in between from 4 and 12, her favorite song is Coat of Many Colors by Dolly Parton. And I just think it's so neat to introduce this type of music to, you know, the next generation coming up, and to make sure that this country music lives on forever.
Yeah. How were you introduced to country music?
My Nana actually introduced me to country music. She's been a huge part of my musical career. She's the one who started it all. She passed away when I was 16 years old of cancer. And but every weekend I would go to her house and I'd sleep over and we'd put on like a concert. You know, she'd give me her clicker and I'd pretend to be singing for her, and she would introduce me every time to a new artist. So one week it would be Johnny Cash, and she'd play some of his songs, and then the next weekend it would be Patsy Cline. The next weekend it'd be Lori Morgan, and she would introduce me to all these different country artists, and I'd be like, "Wow, Nana, like I really like this stuff." And I was only 10 years old at the time. And I'd go home to my mom and, Mom, today Nana showed me Johnny Cash. And it was so neat because I've never heard of any of these artists. And then I actually ended up working in a senior's home. And every Thursday they would have someone come in and perform. And they would sing these songs like that I heard at my Nana's house. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is real cool. So I definitely have to give my Nana all of the credit for introducing me to country music and for being the reason why I want to sing.
Hmm. And how old were you when she introduced you to this?
I was 10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So quite a while ago.
Hmm. And you in turn introduced a 4-year-old girl to Dolly Parton and country music. So you
Yeah.
pass on this. legacy, so to speak.
Absolutely. Now it's my turn to introduce to the next generation.
Mhm. Um, so yeah, as I mentioned, classic country music can be quite raw in its honesty. So I wonder how can children who haven't, really experienced these adult problems understand the music or the lyrics?
You know what? I don't even think they need to understand the lyrics right now. It's just listening to the music and you don't realize like I don't know how many songs I listen to that I sing the words and I don't even realize what I'm singing. You just hear the song and it's natural and you just sing it. And I think what will happen is they will listen to these songs and they will just sing them as they get to know them. And then as they start to experience things in life, oh my gosh, this totally relates to um, coat of many colors, or this totally relates to Dolly Parton's song Jolene with having problems with relationships and people. And so, yeah, I don't even think they need to, I don't even think they need to understand it right now. I just think having it in their mind and repetitive and over time, they can connect and, oh my gosh, this is what this song actually means. All this time I didn't know.
Mhm. Yeah, it reminds me of when I was a teenager and I would listen to like breakup songs
Yeah,
without ever being in a relationship. And
right.
I remember being really sad and imagine myself like being in a relationship that dissolved. But then I became the age that I am, and I uh, got involved in um, several relationships that didn't go anywhere, and I listened to those songs in an entirely new light.
For sure. Now it's a whole new meaning. Yeah.
I wonder if you have the same experience of, when you listen to a song from, your childhood years and then later in life, you reflect on it and you listen again and you perceive it in a different way.
Yeah, I can't say I've had too much of that. Um, but I just like I do listen to the words now and I do understand what the song is trying to say and what story um, that it's displaying. I can't say like I haven't really had anything where it's like really relates to it, like where I listen to a song and I imagine being in that position and now I actually am. I wouldn't say I've really had, there's no song right now that stands out to me that I've had that with. Just like I said, understanding the story now as I'm older and knowing what the song is really about and learning the background behind it. So, for example, Jolene. Yes, it's about the banker who tried to take Jolene's man, but why they came up with Jolene. I watched a documentary on Dolly Parton, and the girl's name, the banker, wasn't named Jolene. She was at a show, and there was a little girl in the front row. And at the end of the show, Dolly said to this girl, "What's your name, sweetheart?" And she said, "My name's Jolene." And Dolly Parton said it was the most beautiful name she's ever heard, and that one day she would write a song about Jolene. So, yes, the song was about the banker who was trying to take her man, but her name wasn't Jolene. It was from this little girl that she saw at a show. So, that's cool for me to understand how a song's put together and the real meaning behind it. But I don't have any song that really relates to how I feel now. So,
Understood. Yeah. So you mentioned writing and performing a song called "The Drink," which yeah, I listened to it. Again, I like it quite a bit.
thank you.
It's about I'm guessing it is about drinking or being in a bar. So tell me, what role does the bar play in country music songs in general?
Yeah. So, one little thing about that song, it's actually not about drinking.
Okay.
About a relationship. And this is what I was hoping. I was hoping that a lot of people wouldn't understand what I was trying to say with this. What I wrote with the drink is I compared drinks to relationships. And in your lifetime, you will probably have quite a few relationships, quite a few drinks that you'll have. And then once you find your soulmate, the person you want to spend the rest of your life with, they're the drink you're going to choose every time. And so, how I related that to a bar is, country folk, a lot of people in general have gone to bars and, okay, I'll have a beer today, I'll have a whiskey today, I'll have wine today. And then I feel like once you find a drink you really like, so the partner that you want to spend the rest of your life with, every time you go to that bar, you're going to choose that same drink. because it's your favorite. It's something that, warms your insides or gets you going or gets you in a good mood. And I feel like that's the same with a person. So, yeah, that's why I compared the bar and drinking with relationships.
Uh-huh. That's that's beautiful.
Complex
Yeah, it is. And I really have to listen to that song again to to really
with
get
a whole
into the
new
mood.
meaning. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. It's you just blew my mind.
Thank you.
But yeah, I do know that many country songs often take place in bars. And it is it's something that's unique to country music, I think. I'm not sure if any other um genre of music would do this. I think there are many pop songs that would take place in the dance floor, and there may be some overlap here and there. Um, there are folk songs that takes place in the woods. Some and other folk songs are in the city. And yeah, so tell me about the role of the bar in country music songs.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't really know. I think it's just, um, with country songs comes beer. Everyone's always saying beer or whiskey. Obviously, you get those drinks at a bar. We're not going to say we're going into a liquor store to get them. And I think too, maybe Nashville has something to do with that because Nashville is just all bars. And so I don't know if when people are writing, maybe they're thinking like writing about Music City. So I'm in a bar because you go down the main strip of Nashville and there's just bars galore on either side. So I don't know, like I don't actually know the reason. But if I had to guess, I would say probably because of Nashville and just because when we're talking about beer or whiskey or tequila, you're drinking in a bar usually. So that would be my guess.
Mhm. Yeah, and another important theme of country music, at least today, is driving too.
For
Hopefully not while drinking. So drinking and driving, but hopefully not at the same time.
Yes, no drinking while driving. That would be problematic for sure.
Mhm. And I think this facet it's even more unique. I cannot think of any other musical genre that features this much driving or motor vehicles. So
No, I
why do you
agree.
think this is so?
Same thing. I mean, like country folk, we want to be outside. We want to be in our pickup trucks. We want to be going down a dirt road, windows down, sunroof open. I think it's just more of like a feeling. That's what we do. Country people are outside. We want to be outside. We don't want to be in an office. We don't want to be, stuck indoors. So I think just driving, and I feel like too, when you're driving, you're clearing your mind. Like you're kind of escaping reality, and you're just driving. Like sometimes I'll just get in my car and go down to the beach or go fishing or go hiking. Like I just want to get in my car, turn up the radio, roll down the windows, and just drive. And when it's sunny out and the sun's on your face and the wind's in your hair, I mean, it's a really nice feeling. Like Florida Georgia Line, they did cruise. And it's
Yeah.
so true. You just want to roll your windows down and cruise. It's a good feeling for the soul. And country folk like to be outside.
Yeah, I do remember there was a more recent country music song. It was maybe either by Florida Georgia Line or some other artist. The title is Body Like a Back Road. So this person is comparing a woman that he likes with a road, which
Yeah, I think that's Sam Hunt. I'm pretty
okay,
sure.
okay. So yeah, so that is a comparisons that's a comparison or an analogy that never would I've thought in a million years, but he came up with it in 2015 or something, and he could trademark it now.
No, exactly. And that's the cool part about music, right? Like same thing with the drink. If you just listen to it, you're kind of just thinking, oh, it's about drinking, but really it's comparison. And so Sam Hunt was brilliant, I think, to do the same thing with comparing, a woman to like the driving. So very, very smart, very brilliant. I love that.
Yeah, that still blows my mind. Yeah, that's uh, how are you navigating the country music scene of Ontario?
I just do my own thing. I mean, I'm willing to play wherever, whenever, getting my name out. I mean, I'm from Hamilton, so I'm very very known in my hometown, which is great, but I think it's so important to venture off into other places in Ontario. And so now I'm starting to, go up north. I'm going to book some shows in the Ottawa Valley area. I'm up in the Port Elgin Sauble Beach area. I'm up in the Lakefield, Peterborough, Buckhorn, Bobcaygeon area. So I just think it's so important to go in different areas and get your name out there, and any opportunity you have to perform somewhere, like take it, even if I've never been there, I'm not sure how this is going to go, but let's just do it. I like to go perform at Blue Mountain and the Muskokas, like just everywhere and anywhere that I can. And then you get your name out there and meet tons of new people and tons of new artists. If you're playing at a festival, you're meeting other artists, and maybe there could be some co-writing that could happen from that. So yeah, I just kind of go wherever music takes me.
Mhm. Yeah, I lived in Peterborough for about 4 years,
Okay.
while I was doing university, and I have fond memories of that town.
I love Peterborough. My uncle used to live in Lakefield. And so I'd be up here often, fishing, ice fishing. Actually, him and I wrote one of my songs together. He's my great uncle, so he's my Nana's brother. And we were in his boat fishing, and I was writing my song, Favorite Hello, Hardest Goodbye. And my uncle is also a musician, and we wrote that song about leaving your loved ones and to going on the road. And it's not just for musicians. If we had someone say that their son went away for war, and in the army and in the navy, and they had to say goodbye. And every time they had to leave, it was their hardest goodbye. And when he came home, it was their favorite hello. So my uncle and I actually wrote that song in his boat. We were out fishing, just the two of us. And I was like, hey, you know what? I really want to write this. It was during COVID, and we wrote it. And that song actually just won Song of the Year at the Red Carpet Award show in Holland, for Best Classic Country Song of the Year. So yeah, I love Lakefield. It has good memories for me, and that whole area, Peterborough, Lakefield, Bob. It's just a beautiful area.
Yeah, and congratulations on winning the
Thank
Song of the
you.
Year, Classic Country.
Thank you.
Um, so tell us about the album that you did called Loving the Legends. Actually, I couldn't find it on any streaming services, so I
Yeah,
wondered where
Loving
can
the
people find it.
Legends was more for myself. It only had 8 tracks on it. 7 of the 8 tracks were covers. So I did some of my favorite country songs. So Folsom Prison was on there. Crazy was on there by Willie Nelson. You Ain't Woman Enough from Loretta Lynn was on there. Coat of Many Colors. So it was just a bunch of my whole favorite songs. And then the 8th track was my very first original I ever wrote, called Nana's Little Girl. And I dedicated that to my Nana after she passed away. Um, she passed away right before my birthday, and it was the day of my birthday, and I just went upstairs, and I was very emotional, not having her. She was always the first person to call you on your birthday at midnight, and I didn't get that call that year, and I just was missing her, and I just started writing like how my heart was feeling, and I wrote Nana's Little Girl. And so Loving the Legends was to basically, I dedicate it to my Nana because she was my legend. And then I put it with all the other legends in country music that her and I used to listen to as well. So yeah, so none of those songs were meant to go to radio. None of those songs were meant to be streamed. It was more of just something for me that I needed to do for my heart, and something that I needed to dedicate to my Nana.
I see. Yeah, that's wonderful. And if you do have a chance to, I suppose, publish it, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I might. I'm not sure yet. I'm actually coming up on her 10th year anniversary of her passing this year. So who knows? I might do that as a 10-year thing for her. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, you mentioned the Loretta song, You Ain't Woman Enough. And that reminds me of another important theme in country music too, which is relationships.
Yep,
Obviously, you did do a relationship song, it's Everything's All Right, but Loretta Lynn's song, it's a little bit different. It's about infidelity, if I get it correctly. She's
yep,
telling the woman that her man is seeing on the side that you know you don't measure up, basically.
for sure.
Yeah. So tell me about how country music songs, most importantly by women, how they treat infidelity and how they in turn treat the subject of love.
Yeah, I know. Again, that's a tough one to answer. Um, Things were way different back then, like with You Ain't Woman Enough. Yeah, I don't, you know what? I think women in country music just want to be strong and tough. And I think they just want to, um, you know, I've heard that country music always hasn't been favorable for women, that it's easier for a guy. Whether that's true or not, I'm not sure. I just think, um, women want to stand up for themselves and make sure they know they don't need anyone's help to protect them, and they're tough, and they're willing to, you know, give anyone crap who gets in their way. And that's why I love artists like Loretta Lynn. I always say that she's sassy, classy, and a little badassy. I think she has the best of all three worlds. And that's something I want to be like as well. Like there's a time to be sassy, there's a time to be classy, and then there's also a time to kick it if we need to. So yeah, I'm not really sure the answer of that one. I'm not sure why women wrote about songs like that. I guess maybe that was their way to express how they were feeling. She was having situations where this girl's trying to take her man, and she's like, you know what, you ain't woman enough. And I'm sure other women could relate to that. It happens. And I think she wrote about it because that was just a way for her to express it, and then it became a hit.
Mhm. And I'm sure that Jolene was a cheating song too, right?
For sure. So same thing, like the banker was trying to take her man, and she was, basically saying, you know, please don't take him. He's all I got. But that one wasn't as aggressive. Like you ain't woman enough was like you ain't woman enough. You can't have him. Where Jolene is like, you're beautiful. Like please don't take him. He's all I have. So it was more of like a begging, like please go find somewhere else. Where Loretta Lynn's was like, you better back off from him or else. So it was like two different perspectives on the same type of topic, which is really cool. Dolly Parton took a sweeter approach. Loretta Lynn took a more I'm going to kick your butt approach. And I appreciate and respect both of those.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think that country music women certainly nailed the topic of infidelity more than country music men. Um, I think is because I suppose the first songs I could think of on the topic are written by women and performed by women.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe it happens to women more, or, um, guys just prefer to write about jail and trucks and beer and driving. I don't know. I think it's all probably personal experiences or personal feelings. And I guess maybe women just feel more that way than guys do. Not sure.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of which, you don't hear a lot of jail songs anymore. I think.
No, I think jail has a whole new meaning now, and going to jail is a whole different thing, probably than it was back then. So, yeah, I don't think you'd hear much about that anymore.
Yeah. I suppose it has something to do with the fact that um the perception or the image of the outlaw is no longer considered cool. Um,
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Like John went to jail, Waylon went to jail, and maybe they consider themselves badass or whatever for going there. Like you said, cool outlaw. Where nowadays, like it's not. I mean, it's not cool to begin with to go to jail, obviously. So yeah, definitely that's something that's changed for sure.
so what impact do you hope your music would have?
I just want people to feel good. And whether that means, I mean, I've impacted a lot of people so far with music, and every time I sing a song, it has a different meaning. I could sing, Coat of Many Colors for one person and it's a beautiful moment, and then I sing it again and it's not something special. And that's happened to me. I've sang You Are My Sunshine. And I remember singing it in Nashville at Tootsie's. And I sang it, and there was a woman in the front row, and she was sobbing, like absolutely sobbing. And I was like, oh my goodness, like I've never had this happen. And so after the show, I went up to her and I'm like, are you okay? Like, I don't know. And she said that that was her son's favorite song, and he passed away. And so, you sing that, and then you sing You Are My Sunshine again at a show, and there's a bunch of little kids dancing and clapping their hands to it. So I just want my music to touch people, and whether that's in a sad way because it brings up a memory, whether it's in a positive way because it brings up a memory. Maybe it was their dad's favorite song, or it was their parents' wedding song, or just I want my music to impact people in a way that does something for their heart. And that is something they can leave my show feeling a little bit different than they did coming in.
Mhm. Yeah, and I wonder if you've achieved the same impact with your song "She Said Yes."
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I wrote that one for my brother, and my now sister-in-law. And honestly, the same thing. It wasn't meant to go to radio or anything. It was just meant to share their story. I mean, they've been together for 9 years at the time that I wrote it, and it was something special I wanted to give them for their wedding. So I sang it at their wedding as their first dance, and um, quite a few people have listened to it and they're like, Shay, it's beautiful, even though it doesn't represent our story, like it's their story. It's still the point of being with someone through the stages of life, like, proposing and then buying a house and then having children and then, one of the partners passing away. So, yeah, that song has definitely affected many people. And I've been asked to sing it at quite a few weddings. So, yeah, that's a perfect example of a song that has touched people's hearts.
Yeah, that's very wonderful to hear.
Thank you.
So, would you, if you can, give us a teaser of what music you have in this year?
I'm not going to say too much about it because I'm working on something really special with the song. Um, I have quite a few songs coming out that I'm going to release. Some of them are love songs, some of them are fun, some of them are true stories. I do have one coming out that is a true story about me being stuck in a ditch. So I basically tell the story about how that happened and what I did to get out of it. But the song I'm most excited for, I'm not going to share too much because, like I said, I'm working on something special with it. But just keep your eyes on my social media, Shaylyn's Music Official, on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and at www.shaylynmusic.com because I will be releasing fun stuff with that music soon. So
Okay. Yeah, I look forward to hear it. And you're welcome back to the show when that song is out and we can
that's
film it.
awesome. That'd be so great. Thank you so much for having me today. It was so great talking with you. It was really fun.
Oh yeah, the fun is shared by both, in different places of the world, of course.
Yes, for sure.
So on a final note, what does music mean to you?
Music's everything. I mean, it's not what I do for a living, it's who I am. I eat, sleep, and breathe music. It helps me get through good things, bad things, everyday activities. Um, Most people, for grocery shopping, for example, when people are grocery shopping, they're focused on what they're buying and stuff. I'm always going, oh, what song's on the radio? It's just, it's who I am. It's who, what my heart is, and it's what I love to do, and it's what I love to share with the world. So.
That's awesome. And we hope to hear more of your music in the coming months or years.
Thank you. You will for sure. Stay tuned.
Yeah, and thank you again, Shaylin, for joining the show.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. And of course, keep kicking the country.